Speeding up the street while I'm on the suit. It's time for witness. Somebody's trying to jack move. If I'm correct, it was
Peace.
Peace.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir. What's up, good brother?
Good to see you, man. First off, let me apologize for not making it able to see you while I was in Seattle, but I'm glad to make this happen tonight. So thank you for joining me.
Man, I appreciate the love. Thank you for having me.
No doubt. For everybody joining, this is episode 134. I'm with the legendary Kokane, formerly known as Who Am I? We're going to talk about some deep history as well as work our way up to what you currently have going on. For those who are not familiar or for those who forgot, can you take us back to where you were born and raised?
Well, first of all, I'm a son of a Motown legend, Jerry Buddy Long Sr., who was incredible at Motown Records. You know what I mean? He worked on cuts like Just My Imagination by the Temptations and just a slew of hits over there at Motown. So music has always been in my DNA. And plus my Uncle Willie Hutch, you know, he was real big in the 70s, wrote I'll Be There for the Jacksons, did like the scores of soundtracks such as the Mac. So music is always, you know, it was embedded in me, you know what I mean? And growing up in the 70s and the 80s, you know, those years was very impressionable on my career, you know, besides my father. And, you know, the same thing that I'm doing now, you know, when I used to emulate Parliament, Rick James, and all those greats, you know, kind of cultivated my style between the rap scene and the hip hop scene. And, you know, years later, doing it 35 plus years, and managed to work myself up to be the most featured collaborative artist in the game. So I'm very humbled.
Absolutely. I can attest to that. Doing some research, I was like, this guy has got to be the cameo king of being featured on people's albums. We'll get into a lot of that. Can you take us back to a day in the life of Kokane as a teenager growing up? You were born in New York first, right?
Yeah, I was born in South Bronx. You know what I'm saying? And it's ironic that some of the greatest West Coast pioneers from Ice-T to Tupac was right there on the East Coast. You know, so I'm proud of my East Coast heritage. Shout out to the East Coast. But my mom and dad moved because they had work. You know, they was on the road doing music with different other artists. So they just moved to LA. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, we moved to a town called Pomona, California. And it's a small town, but had a big name, you know, good and bad, you know, murder capital several times, you know what I'm saying, coming out there. And that's that's where I basically got my game from, my music style. And plus my cousin, my older cousin, name is Code 187 from the group Above the Law, one of the most prolific groups. And he took me under his wing, and we was always doing talent shows. And out in that time, back in the 80s, that was a hot spot for like East Coast artists. You know, the explosion of hip hop from Dana Dane to the West Coast artists come to the LA County Fairgrounds, but it was in Pomona, California. And we just was always doing talent shows. You know what I mean? We come from the era where we used to go rah to slinging rocks. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was a diverse type of system. And then once Above the Law got put on, you know, in 1988 with Ruthless Records. And, you know, Easy was a special breed. N.W.A was a blessing to us at Ruthless Records and Jerry Heller. Because once Above the Law got actually signed in 1989, I did a 3-song demo, you know, because my cousin took me under his wing, Code 187, a.k.a. Gregory Hutchinson. And it didn't take long for me to get signed. You know what I'm saying? Easy thought I was different because I was doing the singing and rapping, you know, long before your Drakes. You know what I mean? It was something special because we identified our sound a lot with what P Funk did, what Johnny Guitar Watcher did, the Motown Funk Brothers, Holland Dozier, just collective of great artists and soulful musicians. But we were inspired by that, and we wanted to call our style of music G-Funk. And we are the architects of what you know what I'm saying, as you see in the documentaries, etc. But it started with us. You know what I mean? We're the architects of the style called G-Funk. because we were inspired by P Funk, but we didn't want to call ourselves P Funk babies. So, we turned it around and call it G Funk.
Right.
So that's the first start. Once I got signed in '89, at the end of '89, um, Above the Law came out with Living Like Hustlers. Easy E gave me a chance. Easy, Dr. Dre, the whole N.W.A. camp gave me a chance to get on the Niggas for Life, because it's a funny story. When my record first came out, it was supposed to come out in '90, but it came out in '91, right?
Right.
But at that time, Easy E had a distribution deal, one of the biggest distribution deals ever. He was considered our West Coast Russell Simmons. And it was with Epic Records, Poor, Broken, Lonely, Above the Law, and Kokane. So everybody was hot on Kokane when we dropped the Nickel Slick Nigga. But then at that time, FCC laws had they panties bunched up in their pants. You know what I'm saying? It was like, nah, we can't have cocaine. And it's funny because even when we did interviews, they said, we turned it around to say Kokane. They're talking about we ain't advocating drugs. Mostly we advocate dope music. But they wasn't hearing that shit. So at the last minute, they turned around and called me, Who Am I? So a lot of people was going to the record store saying, well, who the fuck is this? We looking for cocaine. You know what I mean? But at the same time, one door shut gave me an opportunity to get on the Niggas for Life album, which you hear me and Above the Law on that record. You know what I'm saying? And that's the one on the intro to Niggas for Life. So that gave me my first platinum success, taste of success, while the doors was being shut in my face is Kokane, which turned into Who Am I? But we never did accept the name Who Am I, though.
Gotcha. Prior to Niggas for Life, did you work on any other Ruthless projects up to that point?
Well, it was all about Ruthless. You know what I mean? That's all I was on, Ruthless Records. You know what I mean? Working Easy Dr. Dre 187 Killer. I sing Any Last Words. Neighborhood Snipers 5150 album, to Above the Law, Black Mafia Life, VSOP.
No, I'm just saying previous to Niggas for Life, like the 89, 90, 91. Were you working on any Ruthless projects up until Niggas for Life?
Nah, it was all about Ruthless. I didn't mess with nobody else.
Right. I mean, just on the label. Did you work on like Above the Laws album?
It was just Above the Law and N.W.A.
Okay.
That's it.
Gotcha.
And Easy E project.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So, once Easy E passed, I'm trying to, there's so much information. And
right.
I thank you, brother, for giving me the podium. But it's like a docu-series, trying to numb it up and sum it up in 45 minutes. But I do my best, man.
Oh, we can go
to give you that timeline, Pimpin'.
Yeah, absolutely. We can go as long as you can go. There's a 4-hour limit on Instagram, so
oh shit,
you don't have to dumb it down as much. You can go into detail as much as you want.
Right.
2 months before your album dropped, the summer of '91, you appeared, like you said, on N.W.A. sophomore album. What do you remember the most about witnessing this time? We're seeing those guys working on that album, and was there any pressure with them not having Cube in the group?
Not at all. You know what I'm saying? We had too much talent around us. When Cube left, he was a very talented person, still is to this day. But we didn't miss a beat. You know what I'm saying? You got to realize N.W.A. sold 2 or 3 million records with Cube out of the group. You know what I'm saying? So we just went in there creatively and did our thing. You know what I'm saying? That's the good thing about, having so much talent in the room and creative ideas, when you don't have a bunch of A&R saying you should do this and do that. No, man, it was like magic. Seeing Dr. Dre, seeing Hutch talk to Dr. Dre after coming back from London, Hutch giving the actual break to 100 miles and running to Dr. Dre. Seeing Yella do his thing, Ren do his thing, Easy over there talking shit, doing his thing. You know what I'm saying? Even at that time, to be able to see, before Death Row, Warren G and Jewel, you know, in the lounge at Audio Achievements and Torrance bagging on each other. It's like it was a family type of vibe of greats. You know, L.A. Dre in there, rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? Mike Sims on the guitar. It just like, it was one of those times, man, like when Def Jam first started or Motown first started. You know what I mean? You got to realize this was the mecca of things that were going to come to fruition, a multi-billion-dollar business. You know what I'm saying? Those guys inducted to the Hall of Fame. Those guys touching on records that still apply today with the government and the police system. See, it was just a footnote in history that the universe allowed to happen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it was incredible, man. Like, I remember going to, like, I'm fresh on the label, and I'm like, wow, I'm like Disneyland, because you from the hood, you know what I'm saying? You only see so much. But then Easy E showed us something, you know, showed Above the Law, showed Kokane. He was like, look, man, y'all want to keep doing what y'all doing, whatever y'all doing. You know what I'm saying? Hustling, whatever. Or do y'all want to make some money? You know what I'm saying? Do you want to better your family's lives? So obviously we took the right road. And when he took us to London, man, it was incredible, man. Like, imagine going to London in '89 and you getting off the stage and you got like 5,000 people running after you in the alley or running just crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, we wanted more of that because we wanted to be able to have a platform to where we can, you know, sell big records, but then tell our side of the story. Because we also, when we came to Ruthless Records, Above the Law and Kokane, we had more of a prolific edge as well. Like when you hear Uncle Sam's Curse, when you hear Black Mafia, life is not what you know, it's what you can prove. That was a statement and blueprint that a lot of other people don't know where it came from. You know what I'm saying? Like, you never heard the word balling. Balling was on Above the Law record. You never heard the word G-Funk. Well, Tupac, rest in peace, was our little brother, coined the word, you know, on video saying, I'm from the G-Funk, but you can call it what you want. There are certain things, man, that from that time period, it was amazing. And we never did anticipate the influence years later. Like, I never did anticipate I would be on more features than anybody in the world. I was just working hard because we come from a musical background. And it's like, this is what it is. You know what I mean? But the 90s was, man, it's like I tell you, man, it's so much history that, you know what I mean? You will have to read the rest of the detail in my book. That's coming out, called The Making of a Legend.
Absolutely. We got to talk about that here momentarily. Before we move on to your debut album, tell us your best memory of watching the guys record Niggas for Life.
Motherfuckers talking shit. Period. Niggas talking shit. You know, but having fun. You know what I'm saying? We were also young. You know what I mean? Like a lot of brothers that are in their 40s and 50s, you know, they was able to make that business billionaire pivots. Well, we didn't think about that. We was just having fun. You know what I'm saying? Talking shit. You know, saying what's on our mind. Young, dangerous. Man, wasn't nothing like it.
Right. So
It was
give us,
beautiful.
absolutely, for those who can remember, it was a beautiful time in hip hop history. Can you take us back to a timeline a little bit? Were you recording your debut album about the same time these guys were recording their album?
Well, like I said, I did my album, which was supposed to call Kokane after Nickel Slick Nigga. But that came out, Who Am I? And cause I had to go mainly underground. But because 187, you know, of course, Easy E, you know, when they wanted me to get on different projects, I used to do different voices and stuff. You know what I mean? I could do George Clinton, I could do Rick James, and you swear to God that's them, as well as Bus. You know what I mean? So they were like my Phil Jacksons to a Jordan or Kobe Bryant on the court. And I don't care how great Kobe Bryant or Jordan is, they still need the Phil Jackson. You know what I'm saying? And it was a combination, like the chemistry was cold. You know what I mean? So they pushed me to go ahead and say, man, you need to get on more hooks, more hooks. And then with a big Hispanic following, you know what I mean? Because Hispanic love Ruthless Records. You know what I mean? That really got me abroad amongst all the Hispanics and Chicanos to get on their stuff. And then once the Death Row and the Ruthless beef was over with, um, then in 1999, me and Snoop was able to hook up, and it took it to another place. You know what I'm saying? Being on all those records at Doghouse Records. You know, besides all the, the MCs doing what they're doing. You know what I mean? So I look back years, like 35 plus years later, and it's surreal because, at my age, I don't want to give up my age, but at my age, it's a blessing to see the youngsters are now reverting back to those records that we did way back in the 90s and early 2000s.
Right. I want to kind of delve into your debut album a little bit because in a few months it's going to turn 30 years old. Can you take us back to your creative process going into that album?
Man, we was on some hip hop shit. That was about it. Hip hop, talking that shit. I used to read this famous author named Donald Goins. And Donald Goins has some incredible books, from Inner City Blues to just an incredible author. You know what I mean? And we was, from watching Willie Dynamite, the Mac, and all that. I was mainly cultivating a character called Sweet Talk. And we had different other hip hop ideas. But after 91, the Who Am I, the album that drastically changed for me is an album called Funk Upon a Rhyme, 1994. Now that album sounds sonically totally different from the Who Am I album because we went from Nickel Slick Nigga to we gonna funk your ass up. That's how we was strictly funked out. You know what I mean? And that album still to this day is one of my greatest selling albums. No matter how many albums I put out, they still identify songs with no pain, no gain. Even they identify with the Death Row, with the Ruthless and Death Row beats. The Funk Upon a Rhyme still sells for $150 to $200 if anybody has a CD. So it's one of those collector's items that really had a blueprint to a lot of things that's on the West Coast. Put it like that.